Hi. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to inhabit heaven now. Well, first what we need to understand is that the term heaven is both a Western and an Eastern term, more Western than Eastern, because we've made it into a place that knows a polar opposite in hell. And so we think in terms of, when we say the word heaven, we also think of the word hell. So it's this sort of place off in the distance somewhere in our future that only can be inhabited after we die. Or, of course, the other option is always there as well. And when we think in those terms, typically we think in terms of a particular ritual or a particular way of living that is going to get us to heaven or make us go to that other place, hell. So when we're thinking in terms of heaven, we have that old archetypal kind of meaning that we put on it. But actually, heaven is very much different from that, and we can find that, surprisingly, in the root language of the very text that seems to support the opposite. In the Hebrew Tanakh, the Jewish Tanakh, or the Christian New Testament, we find terms that I explore in the book Inhabiting Heaven Now that tell us that, in fact, what we've understood to be true about the Garden of Eden and what we've understood to be true about heaven and hell might not necessarily be so. And the reason they're not so is because the root language that is used in those texts does delineate something quite different. For example, we're told by Jesus several times that we're to be righteous and that our righteousness is indeed supposed to be bigger than that of the Pharisees. And everyone knew at that time that the Pharisees were the most righteous of all the righteous because they were purportedly able to follow all the laws of the land. Well, it turns out that A, that's not true because Jesus called them whitewashed sepulchres and said that the outside of the cup was clean but the inside was not. He focused a lot of energy on the inner man, or the inner woman, the inner person, much more than he did on behavior. But he talked about behavior a little bit too. But the thing is that when he used the term righteous, as in that sentence where he said that our righteousness was to exceed that of the Pharisees, the word righteousness, do you know what it means? It doesn't mean be good. It doesn't mean follow the laws. It doesn't mean, be clean and this highly moral person. It doesn't mean anything like that. That's what we typically think it means, but that's not what the root language says. The root language for righteousness is only Christ truly. That's right, only Christ truly. You could put that as only Buddha truly, or only Krishna truly, or only Brahman truly, or many other terms. But what it means ultimately is that there's a divine self within us. The Bhagavad Gita even uses the words the divine self in the Eswaran translation, divine self. Carl Jung talks about how we evolve to a self that is a God image. He doesn't go so far as to say it's God because he was a scientist and therefore didn't want to go that far. But our sacred texts do go that far. In fact, Jesus even said, do your scriptures not say that you are gods? I've never yet heard a sermon preached on that particular statement, but he did say it. And he took it from the Old Testament, in the book of Psalms, where it also said the same thing. So what we understand from this is that when we are only Christ truly, then our behavior behaves through us. Our inner self is the only Christ truly, so that we are behaving out of that. Jesus said, I can do nothing of my own initiative, but the Father does it. Now, the word Father is pater, which means source. Ultimately, when you peel it back to its root language, it means source. My source, the source of my beingness. And the word used for Yahweh or God back in the Old Testament, Jehovah, means I am that I am. I will to be I am. Perpetually I am. We could go on with that. But the point is, it's about beingness. It's just beingness that is beingness because it's beingness. And that's what divine energy is. And we all are constituent to that energy. You could say it like this: we are molecules on the body of the divine. We are constituent to that. And you know how molecules and cells work in our body. There's a million of them all doing one thing that they do very, very, very well. And that's the way we are. We're doing the thing we do very well, but we're part of the divine energy. But we're so caught up in morality, so caught up in how we've been taught, because we believe that we're separate from the divine, which I call a duality trance state. There's more about this in the book. You might want to get it. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Inhabiting Heaven Now. I'm Andrea Mathews, and I'm the author. Check it out on Amazon.com. We're going to talk some more about this another time. But for today, that's all. See you later.